Hello, everybody. This is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina, and I'm here with a longtime friend of mine and fellow dancer, Mr. Henry Harvey. Hey, Henry.
Hey Trina, how are you today? And everybody else, hello.
Hi. I love seeing you smile. We usually see the dark shades and a serious look.
Yeah, well, that's my disguise.
I have a friend who wears dark glasses. He always say it makes him invisible. He think nobody can see him with the dark shades on. Well, we're
Yep.
gonna. I want to first of all thank everybody for making the choice to click in to chat with Trina today, and we're gonna get started, and we're gonna chat with Henry today. How did you acquire the name Zeus?
One of my students early on, I'd say around 2006, in teasing me because I was so a matter of fact about everything associated with the dance, technicality and stuff like that. And her response was, "You think you must be God's God to dance, or the God of all dances, like you're Zeus or somebody." And I said, "Well, I think I'm pretty good, but I said, thanks for the compliment." And she said, "I'm gonna start calling you Zeus." So,
oh, and that's the top dog. Well, not the top dog, you know what I mean. Okay, I always wondered. I thought it was something that you probably got from childhood.
no, I have some childhood nicknames associated with people who've been knowing me all the way back in the '60s, back in Fort Worth, which is originally where I'm from. So when I was in college, a lot of people, as a term of endearment, they called me Bumpsy, uh, SEY, and that's what a lot of my college football teammates, which I saw a lot of them yesterday, still call me that. So people who've been knowing me over 40 years know me as Bumpsy.
Bumpsy. Okay, I'm gonna have to holler out Bumpsy one day. You grew up in Fort Worth.
Correct.
Is that how you know some of the people? Did you stay there a long time? Is that why you know some of the people from Dallas?
Right. I started swinging out in 1974, and that was right before I graduated high school in '75 to attend the University of Houston. I was on a football scholarship there. And back at that time, the only people who were doing what they call swing out was just in Fort Worth. It wasn't even in Dallas. And so many of us who came out of that Metroplex area ended up going in the '70s to the University of Houston, Texas Southern, or PV. And of course, when we would go to see each other at those different universities for different dances, either through fraternities or stuff like that, we would dance with each other because we were from Fort Worth. So we would swing out with the people at TSU, or we'd see some of our home people from PV. And of course, when I was at U of H, I wanted to dance with some of the ladies there in Houston that did not know how to swing out. So I started teaching people how to do my dance, which was swing out, while I was at U of H and stuff. And then, of course, some of them showed me a little bit of two-step back there. That was in 1975.
Well, Henry, I will tell you, you just gave me a whole another life of you. I had no idea. I thought you just started when you took not Henry, when you took Henry's class, when you took Fancy and Lee's class. I had no idea you had that history.
Right, because Lee Perry would always say, "Man, you from Fort Worth. I know you know how to swing out. You must know Lady Champagne." I'm like, "Yeah, they younger than I am, but I know Lady Champagne and a whole bunch of them, Doc and all those guys over there. Hitman. They just a couple of years older than me, but of course, Lady Champagne is younger than I am. So I grew up right in near Dunbar High School, which is where Lady Champagne went to school at. And my dad coached at Dunbar. So that was my stomping ground, stop six.
Okay. That is crazy. Now none of that I knew, which is one of the reasons why I like this show, because people don't know those things. And I like to know them, but also other people like to know. It gives a whole nother side to you.
I was on a football scholarship, and while I was there, I majored in hotel and restaurant management. I finished in 1979, and I spent a few years in the Hilton, because Hilton has a college there on U of H's campus. And so myself and a couple of teammates that we were in that program. And of course, when we first got out of college, we had alumni who worked at the Hilton chains, and that was some of our first jobs and some of our summer jobs. I kind of regret not taking some jobs in the Caribbean at the time. They wanted some of the young graduates to relocate out of Houston to go down to the Caribbean to some of the other Hilton properties, but being kind of narrow-minded still and young, in my 20s, I just couldn't see myself leaving the United States. Had I known what I know now then, but I stayed in that food service for about 5 years, and then I got into food distribution with the Fleming companies.
Okay. What do you do now, if you don't mind me asking?
I am the senior faculty member and liaison at Houston Community College for CenterPoint Energy. So I put together their curriculum for transportation, crane operation, and OSHA standards, safety standards for CenterPoint Energy. And that's what I've been doing over there for about the last 25 years.
Okay. And your beautiful wife, we want to shout out to Miss Sheila. Hi there, ma'am. When did you discover the world of two-stepping versus swing out?
Well, like I said, back in 75, 76, 77, University of Houston, Texas Southern, there were dances every weekend. I pledged Phi Beta Sigma in 1976. So I am Greek of the Fantastic Nine. And so we hosted dances, Greek shows, stepping, all that kind of stuff. I was a dean of pledges. And so dancing and performing was something that we did, and so the young ladies that I met while in college showed me how to two-step a little bit, not a whole lot, because back in the 70s, it was not as comprehensive as it is today as it related to people teaching it. You just kind of picked it up where you found it. It was no organized, structured curriculums back at that time. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I liked it and, kind of played around with it. I used to go, I taught my wife how to do a little bit of swing out for our wedding dance when we got married. And then years later, after we'd done some other entrepreneurial things, she said, why don't we go and take a dance class? And I said, sure, we can. And that's how I came across Fancy and Lee. And it didn't take me long to pick it up because I'd already knew a lot of the fundamentals about both dance styles.
My questions had to change because I didn't know you had danced before then. That's so funny. Who was your first dance instructor, like technically?
As far as, comprehensive teaching, it would have been Lee, as far as a teacher, like I said, the girls that were in college, they were just freshmen and sophomore girls who used to go out and dance. So I wouldn't necessarily call them teachers, you know what I'm saying? But that's that. But as far as a structured
environment, it would be Lee. Houston two-step is your first love, but what other dances do you do?
I do a little bit of Chicago, just enough to say I don't know what I'm doing.
Me too.
Just a little bit. You'll never see me do it in public. I'll do it just playing around with it. Uh-huh. And I do a little bit of ballroom again, just a little bit of everything, a little bit of Zydeco. That's about it. But you'll probably never see me do it out in public because I don't want nobody to say he can't dance. Nope. I'll do what I've mastered, which is swing out and two-step.
Exactly. You're gonna stick to that because I'm Chicago stepping makes me feel like I am a horrible dancer, but I done did a little bit of it. Why did you decide to teach? When you decided to, after you and your wife took the classes, what made you say, you know what, let's go ahead and make this a business and decide to do that?
Because I didn't see the existing classes that were out there. Lee and Deborah kind of set the standard of organized classes, and of course, the other places that I would go to see some of the other people who were holding classes in nightclubs were not what I considered to be a business teaching environment. Mm-hmm. Lee and Fancy kind of set the standard for that. And so because I had some business experience because I was an entrepreneur and held and owned some businesses even before I started dancing. I just had the idea that I could structurally incorporate the dance in a more diverse area. So that's how I ended up teaching at the YMCA's. And as you saw my resume, I've taught at a bunch of Fortune 500 companies and all kinds.
I remember when you started opening up these locations and it was popping up. And you utilized Groupon, which was genius. And it was like, wow. So what was your vision to opening up so many locations and so fast? Was it a challenge? Was that something you had planned to do, or what was your vision on that?
That's an excellent question. I felt like the dance was beautiful enough and had enough history where it deserved to be in the mainstream of Houston. And it was not in mainstream Houston. There were people who lived in different areas of town that did not know anything about classes, did not want to travel to other sides of town for classes, so I figured it would be best for me to bring the classes to those other regions around the city. I also did that because I didn't want some of the existing people who were teaching to think that I was trying to move in on their territory. So I basically just did my research, and I looked at residential areas where they had disposable income, where the homes values were at least $300,000-$400,000, and tried to find locations that way. So from a marketing standpoint, I felt like I wanted to open up the locations and hopefully eventually franchise out, just like, Fred Astaire and Arthur Murray, and just offer the locations for future instructors who want to do it, show them how to set it up, and they could use it as a sideline income as well as share the passion for teaching.
I know with COVID, when the pandemic came on, do you still have all of those, or have you narrowed it down? So,
well, we're talking about 17 years now that I've been doing this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, so 17 years ago, I was a lot younger.
Yeah.
So my energy level is not there anymore to be able to do that. I still have those contacts and the contracts to be able to be, reinstituted with the YMCA's, with Boeing Airlines, with Wells Fargo. I have all that in place. I had at least 6 instructors that taught at those places for me for a number of years. And of
you
course,
didn't have to be there.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh, no, I had
these places.
Yeah, I didn't have to be at all. Well, there's a difference between my 2-step classes that were at the dance studios and YMCA's and stuff like that. I was at all of those, but the ones for corporate America, I hired people to go out and do those. Those were mostly line dancing and what they call team building projects that they contracted with me for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years and to come out and do 1-hour dance classes once a week. So if you include the actual dance class locations for 2-step and swing out and the different companies I dealt with, I was running somewhere around 8 or 9 locations every week.
Are you still going to do graduations? I know a lot of people have gotten away from it, recitals, graduations, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we just kind of reterm them as to student presentations or something along those lines rather than graduations, because you really never graduate. I'm still learning things, and I've been doing it since the 70s, and you learn different techniques and stuff, and that's what you are in dance. You're an educator. Some people take it and say, oh, well, it's not that comprehensive. Well, actually it is. It can be a profession. And so in order to continue, you must continue to go and seek advice from other people who've been doing it longer, either from the creative side or from the business side. Yeah. And so I don't underestimate where I can pick up little things that could help with refining and continuing the growth of the dance. I don't never underestimate where you can pick that up.
Yeah, I tell my kids that if you know everything, you really don't know anything. So
you don't.
And I love learning. So, and it's never anything that I could, But I will say this in regards to, I missed the graduations. And I heard Jay mention that too one time, that you don't want to give students a false hope that they're finished. But what about when you graduate from high school, you go to the next step of college, then you go to the graduate and you go to the next step. So that's how I kind of see it, that you're graduating to the next levels, if you will. So that's what I was thinking. So I see both sides of it too. I just like to show people what I'm doing. So, but I guess you guys still do that in the recital setting.
We do. And I think that the recitals is a good way to put it, because people just want to see their loved ones display themselves on something that they really get a lot of enjoyment out of doing. It's not a completion. And of course, as you want to aspire to do bigger and better things, whether it be being a showcase dancer, whether you decide to do competition, dance routines, it's still just entertainment. It's still fun activities that you share a passion for. I've got a guy that came through my program. He's an international swing dance or West Coast swing champion. And he came right out of here in Houston, Texas.
That's the 4-year contract. How did that come about? Did you go out to get these contracts? Did people reach out to you? How did you get into that?
Yes. As you pointed out, when I got on the Groupon, as you well know, Groupon reaches out to millions 24 hours a day. Yeah. And people go there for different kinds of things. And if anything, it was a great marketing tool for exposure. Yeah. Whether people came to my class or not, I got phone calls inquiring. I literally had to tell them to take to say that I don't teach country western two-step, because I got so many phone calls outside of my target audience that I had to refine the way it was worded and marketed. Right. And so from there, people who had funds in corporate America associated with money they needed to spend with small businesses who were legitimate businesses, they had budget that they wanted to spend with them from the standpoint of what they call health benefits associated with recreational activity. Mm-hmm. And that's how they reached out to me from Harris County Hospital District. Oh. And that was almost a 6-year contract at 4 different hospitals. So I had to hire 4 different instructors to go out and teach line dance to those ladies during the course of the week.
Wow, that is so cool. As most instructors began doing, you started event planning through your classes outside of the traditional student recital or graduation. One event I remember, Fashions and Dance. Me and my friend Danielle, we have a picture, this famous picture, what we call a famous picture of us we have about 2 of them that we took there. But anyway, I always thought that was like the coolest event. And how did you come up with that idea? And why did it stop?
Well, if you remember when we came on the scene, everybody during the black and white ball, people would be nicely dressed when they went out to dance. Mm-hmm. And, the guys would have on nice shirts or suits to dance. And I just thought that the dance itself, there were fashion statements being made during the course of the dance too. And so I just thought to myself how fashion and dance would work together, because people wore different kinds of fashion as it related to casual dancing, something that wasn't formal, semi-formal events, and then of course formal events, or even fashion associated with going to a dance class, different women, and so having the nice dance tights and whatever they wore, right? So I just felt like it was a great way to mix dance and fashion with a nice event. I kind of let my graduation classes kind of piggyback off of it. Okay. To just create a nice event.
Okay. Well, it was one of my favorites. It was why did you guys end up stopping?
We just got, we just didn't get enough people to keep with it. Betty Dykes was one of the people who, when I brought the idea to her and talked to her about it, she was very, very instrumental in putting together what we called our Diva Walk, and help the people that were not necessarily trained to be models, to work with them on how to walk and this, that, and the other. I really thought it was a real great event, but at some point, it just got to be where some people made comments like, well, it's a fashion show. I really want to dance. I didn't really come to see a fashion show, and this, that, and the other. So we had to just kind of slow it down and go to a different direction.
That's definitely understandable. On Jay's show, we talked about charging for events, and they were talking about, going up to $15 for certain events or whatever. And everybody knows my stance about certain things. That's why now, since y'all giving me permission, I'm gonna start charging a lot of money for stuff. So, but anyway, you mentioned that, did you think the Show You Want to Dance was totally gone, or were you aware that I still give events?
I had a feeling that you had just kind of restructured your business to maybe go at a different direction, which is something that you have to do sometimes. In that case, I knew that one of your passions also was Zydeco. And so from a promotion standpoint, you're a promoter, and I thought that you just felt like, hey, I can go and be very successful with Zydeco, which is, I thought, in my opinion, that you were doing a very good job with it.
Well, I thank you. But no, I was still giving live music is actually my passion, live music and all dances. So I was giving live music events. And I just wanted to mention here that I do still try to think about pricing. I know you from a business standpoint, and now that I know what you've done, I know where your education comes from. I know where what you do. It makes sense to me, some of the things that you said and why you said it. But I always like to publicly mention, something that I may have misunderstood or miscommunicated. And, if I said it or did anything to offend, my apologies. So, but I do like to think about pricing, but I do appreciate what you were saying as well, that there are times that price has to change. You have to do that. No matter how much you love people, you want to let them all in free. You wouldn't have a business if you let everybody in free. So I do want to publicly say that to you. I do appreciate you giving me that nugget to think about. Okay.
Right. Because, Trina, you have a talent, and that talent requires for you to take a lot of your personal time to put forth a product that is going to be beneficial to everybody from an entertainment standpoint. And this, that, and the other. It's like having a baby. And so when you have that passion and you're trying to do that, it has a cost to it. And I'm not talking about just what you're trying to make. I'm talking about to get things done. When you're talking about paying for bands, venues, food, and so I love our community. But we are still working around things that were done almost 30 years ago on the same price scale, and inflation has changed. Absolutely. And so venues cost more, bands want more, and this, that, and the other. And so changing your price by $5, I don't think is, should cause a big backlash on promoting and doing different kinds of events.
Do you agree with, let's just say, I think I mentioned to you this, it wasn't you, but into a meeting I mentioned that, let's just say we have someone in our dance community who, because we know people fall on hard times. We know that people lose their jobs. Are you opposed to eventually having something to where we find out about someone who have lost their job, but they've always been loyal. I don't like using that word, but loyal to the dance community. They've always come to classes. They've always come to events, but now that they're falling on hard times, yes, this is a hobby, but like we mentioned earlier, this is also healthy, mentally healthy, all of those things to get out of the house and do something. But anyway, point being, to having some type of, I don't know, fund, for someone like that, or just knowing, if I come to you and say, Henry, hey, I know you're having this event. We have someone who's out of work. What can we do to try to get them a ticket? That kind of thing. Are you opposed to that?
No, I'm not. But of course, that's on a case by case basis.
Right.
The thing that I would really like to see is, as Jay has talked about, and I don't know if you followed myself and Jay on his platform during COVID, which I thought was excellent,
Mhm.
to talk about different kind of things from a collaborative standpoint.
Mhm.
And people like myself and Jay and John Seegers, all the other instructors, I don't want to leave anybody out, but all the instructors here in Houston, we've been making an effort to be more collaborative when it comes to putting together different kind of things working together. And at some point, we should be able to come together and just have a free event once or twice a year. That's a big event that we just come out of our own pockets and put it on. It doesn't have to be costly. The studio and Larry Duncan and JR, they went out on a limb to put together a nice venue. And in the venue, I think in many cases underutilized. And
Absolutely.
they made it, and they're always available short of, when they have to, pay the bills when it comes to, the maximum Saturday nights, which are their premium nights and stuff. So I think from a collaborative standpoint, all the instructors should come together and say, hey, we're just going to pool our little money, even if it's just for a Friday night and it's just a free dance.
I agree with that. Now I would accept that. I would accept that, to be honest with you. And I would, promoters would like to be in on that too, if that ever comes to fruition. I would even plan it, but I don't do that with swing out too often. Maybe no one may would come. So I would let y'all do it, but I would definitely donate. So keep my name on that list if you guys get together and decide to do that. I like that. I definitely like that because, and I'm not saying we have to do it all the time, but when I met this lady that I mentioned to y'all at that meeting, I saw her in the store and I hadn't seen her in swing out, and this lady was at everything. And then now she's gone. And it was because she had lost her job and she just couldn't afford to do some of those things anymore. And so when I thought about her, and I brought it up at that meeting, it wasn't well accepted. And so I just want to bring that out again, because I do think we need to sometimes think about giving back. And you know what? Soon after that meeting, and I brought that up, COVID came and people lost their jobs. Dance shut down. So I've had churches contact me about finding instructors for their singles ministry or their marriage ministry. And I used to pass them on to ASLD because they were married couples or dating couples. I see that you work with several churches too. Were they churches that you were affiliated with already, or was that again Groupon and Groupon's work?
Well, it could have been, as well as networking, and people just reached out and knew that I offered the service, and so yeah, I've had some 67, 87, 97 attendees for what we call the Valentine's night dance class and couples night out a number of times. And
were you surprised that the church was calling? Because I was for a minute.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No, I wasn't at all, because as you well know, Trina, our dance community for the most part is very positive. It's very positive, and it's relatively drama free, and it's not a whole lot of heavy drinking or any of those perceived images associated with doing partner dance. That's one reason why we don't really do a whole lot of nightclub stuff, because that perception was about the smoking and drinking, where now there's no smoking. And so the perception about nightclubs, it still has that stigma associated with it. So having a ballroom environment, even at a church, and having a dance where there's couples dancing together, or even singles dancing together in this kind of form of dance, is not the same as turning it up and dropping it like it's hot. It's a totally different kind of thing. That's why I felt like these dances, they deserve to be at the Black McDonald's Franchise Owners Gala and the Black Nurses Association and the NBA. These dances deserve to be out there and be seen and displayed.
Yeah, several women, especially I call them our seasoned VIPs. They complain sometimes, not complain. My mama, I'm gonna say complain because my mama complains that they go out, they pay for dance classes, and then they go out and they don't get a dance. Do you feel that teachers, instructors are obligated to dance with them, or do you how do you handle that when someone feels that way and they come to you with it?
Well, I don't get that. And when I say get that, because my ex-students, I dance with them until I see that they have have developed their own little following. You
Ah,
know, in other words, I see them and they get dances. Once I see that they're getting dances,
don't have to
then
do.
I step away. I
Okay.
work with the students who aren't getting dances. I'm
Yeah.
talking about past and present clients, the
Awesome.
ones who are not getting dances. That's what I do. Do I feel obligated to it? I have to say that I do.
Hmm.
I do feel. I just had a phone call earlier. Some people want to come to a function and they've never danced before,
Hmm.
but they want to come to the function, right? And of course, there are people who just started dancing, and as you well remember, they're intimidated about the dancing.
Mhm.
And so, with that being said, uh, you kind of want to, help them find their way into being comfortable out there on the dance floor. And one of the best ways to do that is when they dance with their instructor, as well as now what I also do is former students that are guys. Would you please, I have some brand new people. They've only had one or two classes. Go over and ask them to dance and make them feel welcome. We talked about this during our meetings and stuff during the pandemic. And that is that we're shepherds of this entire flock of dance community, the instructors. And it's important for us to take care of the flock of people that are coming in and making them feel welcomed,
So they'll want to
making them,
continue.
you're right, and making them feel that that we're all supporting them and their whatever their aspirations are.
Absolutely. You are taking people on international trips. And I
That
thought when you first start say that. Mhm. When did you start? When did you get that idea? Or had you always been doing it, but in a smaller scale?
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Trina. Back in the day when my wife and we used to publish a magazine called Black Tie Magazine. We did that for about 9 years before Upscale came in and kind of ran us out of that business. We called ourselves the Ebony Magazine of Texas. We were distributed in about 67 different outlets through Randall's and Kroger's back in the day. And so one of my activities for the magazine that we did every other month was to, put on activities. And so we had a model search and all kinds of stuff. So I've been in promoting and putting on entertainment because again, hospitality is something I learned in college.
Right.
And so I started putting together trips to go to the Aruba Jazz Festival. This was before Sinbad and all
Oh,
them.
before Sinbad? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, Sinbad and them turned it into something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started taking people to Aruba in 1991, and so we took about 5 or 6 groups down there that included the jazz festival as well as all kind of activities. And then after that, we took a hiatus from it because Sinbad and them went in there and turned it into a funk fest rather than a jazz festival.
Mhm.
Um, and so here lately, me and my wife, when we were starting to do some other activities, we started traveling. And of course, this is when Facebook came on the scene. See, back in those days when we didn't have Facebook
Yeah.
in the 90s. So, people found out from my magazine that I was doing these activities. I basically just said, okay, let me just see. So one Christmas, I guess I can't remember when it was, maybe 2013, maybe, or 14. One Christmas, I just put down, okay, we had just came back from South Africa, my wife and some of our personal friends. And I said, okay, we'll go back in 2014, 15 or 16, and I'll put it out there. if you're interested in going, just respond to the Facebook, what do you call it, event,
Mhm.
right? Put together a little 7-day trip if you're interested. And that was on December the 1st. I went to home for December the 15th, when they let us out for college, for the school. And by December 15th, had 35 people had responded, I'd like to go.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay. So again, I'm on Christmas break from the 15th through the New Year's Day. And so I just redid my event page and said, okay, we've got enough people who's expressed interest. If you're really serious about it, just send, I think it was $30 to register, right? Next thing I knew, I had 65 people had started sending in money that said they wanted to go on the Africa trip. And so as soon as that happens, I said, okay, it's time for me to call in my network, which the people that I talked to with the international airlines like Viasa, at that time it was British Airways, because I had contacts with them, because again, I had been doing dance classes for some of the terminals at DFW when they do their little team building activity. They wanted line dance classes. Betty Dykes taught for me, Susan Phillips, Sabrina Harrell. I really don't want to call all their
Because you're gonna miss
names.
somebody.
Yeah, but
Susan Phillips is my girl.
yeah, my contact at British Airways said okay, and so I contacted the lady who works with me now that's up in New York, and she's been working with me for about 6 years. I said, look, I want you to put me a package together that is going to be competitive with some of the other bigger consolidators. And they put together an excellent package, and we had 67, 68 people on our first trip.
It's crazy,
And
Henry.
so we've gone to Africa now, I think 5 times, and we've gone to UAE, Dubai. We've gone there twice.
But where are you going next? Did I see something different? Are you going somewhere else?
Yeah, we're going to Greece,
I thought, okay.
and it's a beautiful package. It includes going to Santorini, Athens, and Palermo. I can't remember the names, but it's all on
How many
Facebook.
days?
And 8 days. 8 days. It's a flight that'll either will connect either in France or London, going on into Athens. And it includes everything. My price is inclusive, and quite a few people who've gone on my trips before, and they'll tell you that we make sure that you don't have to do anything but just get up, have breakfast, and get on the bus. And
I've heard great, wonderful things. I saw all the awesome pictures. Name the top 2 things that you think are most important that you teach students, that an instructor teaches their students.
first of all, respect the ladies, and make sure that when they dance with the ladies, that they dance and allow them to be feminine, and not be too aggressive with them. I'm talking about from putting them in too many moves and this, that, and the other. And then on from the ladies' standpoint, about being patient, and when they get up on the dance floor, to be very, very vocal if in fact a person is trying to do something that is outside of your ability. And so it has to be a back and forth relationship that we got coming up. I'm going to be talking about lead, follow, musicality, and what we call recognize your partner. Me personally, I'm not a real fast person when it comes to dancing. So I like medium to slow music where your artistic expression can be done during the course of the song. And so that's the main thing that I teach ladies to do, is to be patient, and be very, very, and work hard on on learning the steps and the history of the dance and this, that, and the other. And if in fact a guy is moving you too fast, let him know that he's not letting you. Guys, for them to be very respectful of the ladies, and watch where you put your hands, how you just make sure you treat them like the lady. A phrase that I use in my class is, the guys are the frame, and the ladies are the picture in the frame. Your goal as the guy is to frame the dance where it has a foundation, and it's the lady's job to look pretty during the course of the dance.
You may not know this, but so when I was So You Want to Dance Part 1 is what I call it, when I did it before and you were in. So people called me a lot, and believe it or not, they still do every so often. But back then, people would call, and I don't know if you remember, I visited every class, just about every class there was, I visited. You were one of the ones, you and Liddell were two of the people that I, especially if they were beginners, I would recommend your classes, because you guys were very big about the foundation. You were very big about, making sure that they had before they went on other steps, And so I just wanted to mention that's something that I've always appreciated about you, is that you believe in building that foundation before you move forward to this other stuff. So that's something
correct. Thank you.
Of course. Have you ever competed?
3 times. And I was my student, the Jack and Jill. So at ISDC, I did a Jack and Jill. That particular year was the year that DFW showed up in big numbers. And so they had 2 heats. They had like 15 couples in one heat and 15 in another. It was a bunch of people in the pro-am, because some dance instructors may dance with 2 or 3 different amateurs, just because it's always more women than men. So I ended up dancing in pro-am with 2 different ladies, and we didn't place high at all. I don't know where we placed. We may have placed 15th or 13th. When you compete, understand that it's all subjective, and that's one of the reasons why when they have judges, they have 6, 7, or 8 judges, because one judge will see something totally different than the other judge. So one judge's score can't be the difference between you winning and losing, because they average out the scores based on what judges gave that person high scores. So 3 judges can give you a 2, and one judge can give you a 5, and one judge give you a 1. You're gonna end up with second place with a 2s. And so a lot of times people go in thinking that that their success and their enjoyment of the dance is based on wins and losses. And the reality is that it's an opportunity for you to go out, because they know what it takes for you to get out there in front of an audience and compete. Yeah. So I've done it twice. I was fortunate enough that Tina Morales allowed me to be a main judge for, I guess, 6 of the 7 years that they've been doing it, and learned a whole lot, because I was around some of the people from Romero from Dallas, and Lawrence Bradford from DC. Judges based everything on the 3 T's: timing, teamwork, and technique. And that makes it very, very simple. And it could be just 1 or 2 little things that might have made the difference between getting in the top 5. Because to me personally, after 6, it doesn't matter. There's no difference in my mind between 6th place and 10th place.
Yeah, I get that.
I'd like to say that, all the judges that I've ever seen associated with ISDC have been admirable people, and they have not had any animosity or any of those kind of things. They're very supportive for the most part.
Yeah. And I've heard about the camaraderie, that everybody's kind of cheering on everybody. Like, I'm super excited to at least I've never been, so I'm excited about witnessing that. What is the most rewarding thing about teaching the dance for you?
The most rewarding thing for me is to see how, when some women and men come into the class and they're kind of introvert. They're not very confident in this, that, and the other. And they come with different stories. Some are empty nesters, right? Some are divorcees. some are widows and widowers, right? And so they're making the effort to say, I'm going to get off this couch and I'm going to come and get back into socializing, right? And dance will be a great way to do it. And see them come into class, dress a certain way when they first started. And then all of a sudden they come in and they have the makeup on and they have the clothes are a little tighter, a little more fitting and stuff like that. And I'll be like, you came in here as a duck and now you look like a swan,
Yes, yes.
and they talk about us, they say, you sure are mean. I'm like, well, y'all came in quacking, as ducks, but now y'all done turned into swans, and that's a great thing. It's the same way with the guys. The guys would come in there and all they want to do is kind of turn it up. They'd have a drink in one hand and think that's cool to be dancing. And we talk about dance etiquette, how you approach a woman, your responsibility of making sure that she feels good on the dance floor. Mm-hmm. And it's not all just about you. Mm-hmm. and how you can your 2 minutes experience on a song can make such a difference in that lady's night that night. Absolutely. On the dance floor. And I try to get guys to understand that is that you dancing with a person and they enjoy dancing with you, they will tell others, oh, he's patient, go out and dance with him, he ain't gonna take you too fast, this, that, and the other. But sometimes
you're right about that, because I know I do. I said, oh my God, he was such a good lead. I love dancing with him. And I'm gonna tell you, I like dancing with beginners to intermediate students, to be honest with you, because they still have that passion of dance, that I missed from back in the day. They still have that thing. And that's why I love dancing with them the most. I know the El Dorado is in renovation mode. And
that's correct.
Will y'all be going back?
Well, we'll see. Jay is my partner, along with Kent Sharp, Sharp Image. We've been doing it for about 8 years. And the last time I went up and looked at the building itself, they were doing some repair there, but it didn't look like they were going to be opening anytime soon.
Is it from the freeze, the ice storm?
I don't think so. I think that they were just taking advantage of the fact that everything has been shut down during the pandemic, and they may decide to go in and do some much needed work on it since there was nothing going on. But that's a division of Project Row House, which they work off of different kinds of funding. And so, as you well know, sometimes funding may run out, especially when things like
what do you and your lovely wife like to do to chill and relax outside of dance, outside of work?
My wife loves the beach. If it's hard, she's so talented and versatile and flexible, and she's a wonderful person. A lot of people don't really know her because she doesn't really get out that much, because she has so many different directions she goes in to enjoy herself. She's an avid reader. She's a writer. She loves being able to talk to people about finance and how to improve their net worth and prepare for retirement. So she's got a lot of things. So for her, going anywhere on a beach to do absolutely nothing, fine dining, she likes good wine. She's a dessert fanatic.
But do you have any last words, anything coming up?
To come out of COVID in the new norm. I don't see in the next 3 to 5 years a lot changing from the standpoint of what we have to do to be safe. And so I want to be a part of those activities that we're having, where we're demonstrating how to be safe, so we can return to some resemblance of how we would get out and socialize and enjoy ourselves. If we exercise being safe, wear our mask, which everybody's been doing a really good job of it, going to classes and social events, and sanitize our hands and try not to, be too chummy with each other. We can still get out and do our dance. So I'm asking that people trust the science, make sure you wear your mask, and don't let COVID keep you from enjoying coming out and socializing and dancing and enjoying yourself, something like that, where the density of people might be a little bit lighter.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a good one. I think I've said that too, that we're gonna have to learn how to navigate through this thing and do things
That's right.
in a manner. So,
That's right.
because it's not healthy mentally for us just to stay kind of just stuck in this house.
That's right. That's right. I miss seeing people. I'm a people person. A lot of people don't think it, but I love seeing people enjoy themselves. I can go and sit down and just watch people because I can sit back and remember. I remember how she used to dance 5 or 6 years ago. You know?
Thank you again for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed the chat. I must say, I'm going to be truly honest with you. Several of my questions I had to skip around because I didn't know all that stuff. So this was so awesome. It's like reading a book. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being transparent. And and thank you for not even having to think twice before you said yes. I really do. Can't wait to see you on the dance floor, guys. Thanks for making the choice to click in to chat with Trina. I'm sorry. And make sure you go to youtube.com/chat with Trina. Hit subscribe. I need subscribers. And then I also need you to click that little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video.
Trina, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
And thank you so much. Thank you again, Henry, for agreeing to join me and chat with Trina. This was great. I learned so much about you. It's so crazy that in all these years, I didn't know these things about you. But anyway, thank you for joining me. And guys, remember to check out Henry Harvey and the Houston High Stepper Dance Troupe. Don't forget to go to youtube.com/chat with Trina, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video.